play begins with an angry Medea. She is fighting with her husband Jason. Jason reveals to Medea that she is to wed Glauce, the daughter of Creon, king of Corinth. Fearing that Medea will harm him and her daughter, he orders Medea to be exiled along with her 2 sons. Medea pleads for her to stay 1 more day, and Creon compassionately gives in to her request. Jason tries to explain his actions to Medea. He says that he can't pass up an opportunity to marry into royalty, adding that Medea is only a, quote, barbarian woman. Jason promises Medea to keep her as a mistress and to even give her support. This disgusts Medea, and this is where she starts to plot her revenge. Sometime later, Medea chances upon Agus, king of Athens, and she strikes a deal with him. He will give him sanctuary in Athens in exchange for herbs that will help with Agus's fertility problems. Having a plan formulated, Medea calls for Jason and talks him into giving a golden robe and a coronet to Glauce as a bribe, in the hopes that she gives Medea mercy and recall the exile order. Unbeknownst to Jason, the gifts were laced with poison. The gifts were delivered to Glauce via his 2 sons. A messenger arrives announcing Glauce and Creon's death. Creon also poisoned by touching her daughter's corpse. Medea, still not satisfied, decides to kill his own 2 sons, so that Jason will have no other way to be happy. Jason rushes to confront Medea, but he was too late. Medea soars in the sky, riding a chariot with her 2 dead sons in tow.
I'm Jessie Fajardo. I was married for 7 years to a wonderful man. I met him at work. It was actually my first job, and my husband actually courted me a short while after our meeting. He was very straightforward, and his way was actually from day 1, parang hindi lang siya yung nililigawan lang niya ako to be a girlfriend, but to be his wife. So I also actually I knew somehow I knew that this was the man that I was going to marry, because judging from the seriousness that he was pursuing me. So how has it been? I think that I married at the age of 26. I married at the age of 26. He was 31 years old then. So at that time, medyo I had enjoyed my single life. Kasi as a single lady, I was kumbaga I went through all the adventures nung dalaga ka. I actually went out with friends. I went out to different places. I enjoyed my being single and free. And so by the time that I got married, I was, I think, ready for marriage, for having a partner, for having a commitment. So I did not have a lot of trouble adjusting to my married life. In terms of giving up my lifestyle of being single and free, there was a little bit of adjustment in terms of being married to a Christian man, because in a Christian context, the wife should be submissive to the husband. And having, my husband and I having both a very strong personality, I had a little bit of trouble with that. But my husband was really, I think, very good in terms of making me submit to him, because first of all, he was a man of principle. He was a man of integrity. He was very close to God. So in terms of respect, I did not have any trouble giving him my respect, and so later on, even giving him eventually my submission as his wife. Also, he has, I looked up to him as a partner and as a mentor in terms of my faith. He introduced me to prayer. We prayed as a couple from day one. And then he also taught me to be open in our relationship. We practiced openness of communication with each other as a rule. So whenever we argue, it was clear that we needed to be transparent in terms of our real feelings and thoughts about an argument. But at the end of the day, we always make sure that we have talked about whatever argument we had sorted it out, at kahit galit pa kami, we needed to make sure that it has been resolved before we call it a night. So, wala kaming grudges against each other na nagtagal because we make sure that we always talk about it and that we were very transparent and that we prayed as a couple and later as a family when we already had our children, that we prayed as a family before we slept. So, hindi masyadong maraming sama ng loob na nagtatagal. My husband was also very generous, so that was one legacy that he also left to us, his family. So I think that I really value married life so much. It's the happiest relationship that I've ever had. It is so wonderful to have a partner in everything, in facing challenges in life, in raising a family, in raising children. It was really, and especially in a Christian context, in sharing my faith and in growing in faith with somebody who I know was really very supportive of me. So, I can say that marriage is one of the happiest things that ever happened in my life. I think I have grown as a person, and I have matured so much. I have found happiness that I have never had as a single person during my marriage, and I'm really thankful that God has given me the right person and the right partner to when He has blessed me with this marriage. I am very blessed because I think I'm very blessed in a sense that I have never really experienced betrayal in my own marriage, but I have experienced it in the context of, within my family, and it is a very painful thing, even if it's not really a betrayal directly against me as a wife, but probably a betrayal against me as a daughter, as a child. I think that it has betrayal contributes very greatly to a child's insecurity growing up, because it gives a lot of anxiety, it gives a lot of stress, especially because during my time as a teenager, it's not yet very widespread in our culture. And so it was something that needed to be hidden, unlike today where it's very, I think it's more ordinary to have betrayals in the family. So I think that it is it is something that really affects the stability of a child in a family, and the damage is not really just between husband and wife, but more on the children. So this is something that I hope that for husbands and wives, that they really think very hard about this before they do it, not because of not just because of what it causes as a harm to the partner, but more because of what it causes to the children, because their children are usually very defenseless. They look up to their parents, and it just shatters their world. It shatters the trust at a very young age, and I think that's very it's a tragic thing, because it can have a multiplier effect on how they would also be as a parent someday. I think it's infectious in a way that I've seen this happen, that children who grew up in a family that has been scarred by betrayal would repeat it even if they don't want to, that subconsciously there's something that happens that affects their behavior, that eventually the betrayal also happens in their marriage. So I really hope that that the parents of today would give this very serious thought before they yield to this temptation of betraying their partner.
The story of Medea for me is very tragic because it resulted to the death of Glossy, Creon, and Medea's children. I really can't believe that she would affirm her resolve to kill them and to exact revenge against her unfaithful husband, Jason. Unfaithfulness reminds me of my father, who left us when I was a year old, and our mother, who cared for me and my siblings up until now, but she never ever plotted a revenge against my father. She already forgave my father for all the things he had done, and now they are good friends.
For me, marriage is sacred. When you meet your partner in life, you will confess your love together in the front of God. For Medea, you can see that her husband left her for another woman. And for her husband, kailangan niya isipin yung mga taong maiwan niya. For example, his wife Medea and also their children. And for Medea, I would say that revenge is not the solution for a problem. Kailangan niyang isipin yung mga taong madadamay dito. For example, their children. And she also need to put her attention on how she will give her children a better future. And for me, if you want to commit on marriage, you need to be physically, mentally, and emotionally fit in it.
Marriage is a powerful bond between a man and a woman. It is a vow that is sworn by two couples that are strongly in love. And it is painful for one of the two or both to break up, whether you have children or not. For the case of Medea, she had two children. It is hard for her that her husband left her and her children. It may not be mentioned in the summary, but it can also be painful to the children that their father left them. I learned in the summary, you either be They range from breaking up with your husband or wife, or just live life for your children.
Medea is all about betrayal and revenge, in which Medea has been betrayed by her ex-husband Jason, and she seeks revenge to Jason's future bride. And for that revenge, her kids suffer. One of the things I've learned in the story is that a person who's been hurt so bad can lead to an intention of having revenge. And another thing I've learned is no matter how innocent the children may be, they still can't avoid the sins their parents made.
Ang natutunan ko sa storya ni Medea ay ang pagpapakasal ay hindi dapat ginagawang biro. Dahil maaari tayong makasakit ng tao. At kung nangyari saan ang nangyari kay Medea, na iniwan ako ng asawa ko at may 2 anak, sa tingin ko gagawin ko na lang lahat ng aking makakaya para bigyan ng magandang kinabukasan ng 2 anak.
Hello. Dia touches upon a few themes that I would like to point out. Number one, a female living in a patriarchal society is extremely difficult. Having your worldview shaped by people of the opposite gender is just an appalling reality to the half of us. In Medea's case, she steered her life with her own hands, and she did what she had to do, but she kind of scarred herself in the process. Second is, Medea doubted herself before accepting her revenge. She steeled her resolve and continued on with it anyway. In her mind, the only way for her to fully demoralize Jason is to destroy all the things that he loves. Many times we take things for granted, even if they're the most important things to us. Once those things leave us, we might never have the chance to recover. I think personally what really got me with Medea is to always value what I hold dear to me. Coming back to what I said earlier, I would never in my life wish to be Jason and choose someone over another in the hopes of advancing myself in life. I find what he did deplorable. I think that a true man does not define himself by the amount of women he bed, but rather by how long he stayed with the same one. If this would happen to me and the roles reversed, to be honest, I wouldn't know what to do. Anger is the worst kind of enemy. It allows you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. But by being aware of this, I feel like in the unlikely event that this will happen to me, I would try to keep a clear mind and true conscience so that I wouldn't cause anybody harm, if I can manage it really. So I guess that's what I learned with Medea. I hope you took something from what I said. So yeah, thanks.
Nang natutunan ko sa Medea is yung pagpapahalaga sa partner mo sa buhay. Ganun din yung mga bagay na ginagawa mo ay may kapalit na karma. It's either good or bad karma. Natutunan ko din is yung dapat maging loyal sa partner.